last week. Operated on Thursday. Not expected to be able to play for the remainder of the season. On the other side of the field, Wilson threw a pass to Rockmore, chased him to the sideline, and falls heavily on his left shoulder. He, too, was operated on this week. Neither quarterback expected to be able to come back before the end of the season.
The Denver Broncos say there is bad news and good news. The bad news, they're down to 2 quarterbacks, and they're both rookies. But the good news is that one is John Elway, who says he's ready.
Well, and Elway did a good job coming in relief last week. But there's no question in the minds of the Denver coaching staff, Elway is going to be a great quarterback. It's just a matter of when. They'd like to see it start today. On the other side, they're getting a man in, a replacement who's been there many times before, Jim Plunkett. He knows what to do when he gets a shot in the game.
Denver's also concerned, Merlin, with the injuries to their running backs. They have a problem there.
Well, they certainly do. And the strength of these two teams is in their defenses, who will be trying to force mistakes today, trying to force interceptions and turnovers. Denver going to have trouble getting their offense on track. Only 2 healthy running backs, one of those with a dislocated thumb.
Well, it's perfect weather after 2 days of rain, and today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the Texas Instruments home computer, creating useful products and services for you. And by Honda, the world's largest manufacturer of motorcycles and ATC 3-wheelers. Follow the leader. He's on a Honda.
Don, I think we're going to see Dan Reeves with some smoke and mirrors today. With only 2 healthy running backs, we'll see a lot of 2 tight ends in a ball game with a single running back. Also, 4 wide receivers in a single running back.
Chris Barr is ready to kick it off for the Los Angeles Raiders. He was part of that great year in '80 when Barr came here as a cut by the Cincinnati Bengals, a free agent. Went to the Super Bowl with Jim Plunkett. Everybody had a comeback that year for the Raiders.
Well, that was the year that Plunkett came in with an injury, much like the injury that took the starter out this year.
Well, the interesting thing about him, Merle, as we look at Tom Flores, head coach of the Raiders, now in his 5th year, is the emotional maturity of Plunkett. He can handle the ups and downs of this game. He certainly demonstrated that. Here's the kick, carrying deep, and now the Denver Broncos bring it out across the 20 and out to the 30-yard line. Moving the ball out is Zach Thomas, a man who returned a punt 70 yards for a touchdown in the first meeting between the Broncos and the Raiders at Mile High. John Elway in at quarterback. They're calling this Elway's 2nd season. Number 7 from Stanford, the first player picked. You all know the history of this great prospect from nearby Granada Hills, California. Custon and Poole, the starting runners, they have problems in the backfield due to the Broncos with injuries. Watson comes out wide to the left, Upchurch to the right. The offensive line has tightened up after some rough going early in the season. He's given up a lot of sacks throughout the year, 42. First and 10. Winder in the game now, and he takes the first pitch and goes back for a yard loss as he tried to get to the line of scrimmage. Bob Nelson, an inside linebacker, fills. The front 3 for the Raiders, Long, Kinlaw, and Alzado. The defensive ends are outstanding. The linebackers experienced and quick, particularly on the right side. Hendricks playing his 208th game consecutively. He's not missed a game since he was in junior high school. Hayes, Watts, Davis, and McElroy, the defensive backs for Oakland, for the Los Angeles Raiders. That's $5 in the Teddy Nathanson pool. The Raiders probably played more man coverage, Merle, than any team in the league. 2nd down now and 11 for the Broncos. Nathan Poole tries to run, and he gets to the 30-yard line. The Teddy Nathanson pool, anybody who calls the Raiders Oakland has to throw in $5. It got up to some pretty big numbers last year.
Yeah, it's hard. Even some of these players still refer to them that way. Little altercation going on between Lester Hayes and Rick Upchurch on that last play there. No love lost between these 2 teams. I don't think it's as bitter a rivalry as the rivalry that the Raiders have with San Diego. But these 2 teams play each other regularly, part of the same division, and they do not like each other very well.
No, they do not. The 47th meeting of these 2 teams dating all the way back to the American Football League in 1960. Raiders and the Broncos met earlier in the season at Mile High, and the Raiders were predominant that day, winning 22-7. Shortly thereafter, they had Steve DeBerg in the game as the starter. He ran off 4 straight victories. We have a problem with the stadium clock.
Should be 13:40. 13:40. 13:40, Corral.
Red Cashin talking about the fact that the clock is not working properly. They're going to wind it down to 13:40. They should be able to get into action out there. This Raider defense has played very well during the season, certainly ranked well overall in the NFL. But they had 2 seasons. They started out, they had 4 games where they averaged giving up only 9 points. In the last 6 games, they've averaged over 25 points.
Dan Reeves now sends in the play, and it's going to be shotgun passing formation, 3rd down and 9. Here's Elway, ready to gun it. He can go long, and he does. Man is wide open out there. And with the ball all the way down to the 30-yard line, looked like Upchurch, who got ahead and beat the defense and gets down to the 30-yard line. Ted Watts was covering, and he was badly beaten. So Elway's first throw is a big one, a 40-yard gain.
Upchurch having perhaps his best year ever, certainly his best as a wide receiver, has beaten Ted Watts, number 20. It's just a down and in. Upchurch using his speed. And let's go and watch Elway in this shotgun situation. Quick drop. Good concentration downfield, and lofted a high and perfect pass. John Hadel, his quarterback coach, says, if I wanted to chisel a quarterback, create one from scratch, I'd create Elway.
Well, Hadel has now as his coach in the Broncos. Go to the run on 1st down and 10 from the 30-yard line of the Los Angeles Raiders. Reggie Kinlaw, the middle guard, makes the stop at about the 29-yard line. Elway, with that great motion, got some time from the shotgun, and Upchurch had Watts beaten hands down. That wasn't close.
No, not even close on that play, but you know, you've got to be very careful when you point the finger at these defensive backs. Perhaps they had beaten the coverage in the middle on one of the safeties as well, but if that was a man-on-man coverage, there's no question that Watts was burned badly.
Elway, who'd been on the bench during the weeks that divert quarterback this team to 4 straight wins, very confident, particularly off his showing last week as he sends the run play up the middle. The penalty marker comes in from the linesman. And again, the Raiders shut down the Denver run with little or no gain.
It's about the 5th running play and virtually no gain at all for the run, and that is not good news. When you're playing a team that has a pressure philosophy defensively, you need to have all your options. And if the Broncos are unable to run the football today and have to depend entirely on the pass, they really are at a disadvantage.
Offsides, number 36 on the defense, still be 2nd down.
Oh, defensive back Davis up that close. Mike Davis, what's he doing offside?
Well, they're looking for him. He likes to shoot. And look at Baltimore starting to get back in this game with the Steelers. Steelers had a big lead at Baltimore. It's now 17-13 in the 3rd quarter. 2nd down and 4 after the 5-yard assessment against the Raiders. No score in the 1st quarter. Elway takes a look, throws a fastball, and again he was looking at Upchurch coming in off the right flank this time. It's now going to be 3rd down and 4 from the 24-yard line of the Raiders. Upchurch, as you saw, going over 10,000 career yards. Very quick.
Trying to work on Lester Hayes here. Drive him off shortly and then cut inside. Bob Nelson, number 51, dropping from the inside. Upchurch had some room on that play. McElroy, the inside safety, coming out to give him a little kiss there after the ball went by.
So now, John Elway sets in a shotgun formation. Wide receivers, there are 2 deployed to either side. One man back in to block that is Poole. And he gets a pitch, and they're going to go for a 1st down and more. As the Broncos cross up the Raider defense, playing pass all the way, the blocking back gets the ball, and Nathan Poole's ahead for 11 yards and a 1st down.
Well, when I said smoke and mirrors, this is the kind of thing you have to anticipate. Little shovel pass. Now, it looks like it's going to be a drop right there. They let the defensive line in. Just flip it behind to Nathan Poole. And Poole does a good job of finding a little opening there, running for the 1st down. Still making all of their yardage on the passing game, not on the running game.
Nathan Poole spent some time in Canada, and now the pitch back goes to Winder. He cuts back upfield, and the Broncos get some good blocking from the right side. Lanier, the right tackle, Howard, the veteran right guard, Bill Bryant, always a good player at center for the Broncos, and the run is down close to the 10-yard line. A gain of about 5 on the play. It'll be 2nd actually and 6 where they spot the ball down.
Elway doing a good job so far of handling his share of the responsibilities on the field.
Here's an upset Merlin. New England beating Miami today. And a big help to the Raiders and the Broncos. The Cardinals upsetting the Seattle Seahawks.
The Seahawks pushing both of these teams.
Came in tied for second with the Broncos. Both those clubs a game behind the Raiders at day's outset. But right now, the Broncos looking for a share of first place if they can beat the Raiders today. Elway sprinting out. He has some time. There's that quick arm and incomplete in the end zone. Mike Davis was covering on the play. One of a number of Colorado football players on the field today.
Sammy Winder down there working on Mike Davis in the corner. That's one of the things that Elway does extremely well. He has 4.7 speed and is not afraid to run with that football. And when you have a quarterback with mobility, he can get you a little bit of extra time. Looks like he wants to gun that ball a little too hard on that particular kind of play, though. The receiver coming back at it. Very hard to handle a fast pass in that situation.
No question, John Elway can throw fastballs. Now 3rd down and 6 from the 10. Watson goes in motion. Elway takes a look, stands in, lets a rip, and he has a man down to the 6-yard line. Gain of about 5. It'll be short of a first down, though. Short by a little over a yard. Matt Millen was covering Watson, who came in to take the pass.
Big Ted Hendricks, the Stork, number 83, coming from the left-hand side defensively. And there's no question that the quarterback was feeling that hot breath on his neck, had to get rid of that football. The receiver's got to know where that first down is, and on that particular play, he did not get close to it. Interesting choice here for Dan Reeves.
Well, I think he's made it, Merlin. He wants points. He's got Carlos out, the field goal kicker.
Well, he doesn't want to blow his first scoring opportunity.
Carlos has hit 11 of 15 field goals for the Broncos. The barefoot boy, good kicker. He hit from a long way too. He lifts it up and through, and the Broncos beneficiaries primarily of that 40-yard strike from John Elway to Rich Upchurch that got him down close. Put the first points up on the field goal. It's 3-0 Denver.
Good back to receive the kickoff. Has an interesting ritual in the pregame warm-up as he's back catching kicks. He always drops one intentionally. Says he wants to get the fumble out of the way before the game starts. However, I'm not so sure he dropped that one intentionally.
That'd be nice if it worked. Although Pruitt's very sure-handed. Zach Thomas had a problem with a fumble at Seattle. It was costly last week. Now Carlos kicks off with the Broncos in the lead 3-0. High spinner comes down to Greg Pruitt. The wedge forms. He's to the 20. Out to the 22, and in comes a marker. Invariably against the return team as Greg Pruitt takes it right up the middle. It's a holding call signaled against the Raiders. So they'll start for the first time here in the first quarter with poor field position as they'll be set back just outside their 10-yard line. Jim Plunkett at quarterback, the Heisman Trophy winner many years ago from Stanford. He's now 35 years old. Another Heisman winner, Marcus Allen, in his backfield, along with the blocking back from Oklahoma, Kenny King. Speed on the flanks, and Malcolm Barnwell and Cliff Branch. Todd Christensen has caught a lot of balls this year, Merlin, 51. And the offensive line, broad beamed as always in the Raiders system. They get big people. Offensive linemen don't draw many raves. Nobody pays to see them, but the quarterbacks can't live without them, and the Raiders have always had one of the best offensive lines. It is 3-0 Denver. First quarter on a clear sunny day in Southern California. The Raiders on their home field with a 1st and 10. Plunkett goes to Marcus Allen, a cutback runner from Southern California who broke all records. Here is a Southern California Trojan in his collegiate days. The defensive front of Denver has Chavis, Carter, and Rulon Jones back in and playing well. The linebackers very good, particularly the consensus All-Pro year after year, Randy Gradishar, 53. The defensive backs, a young player from Southern California, number 49, Dennis Smith, is playing some great football. That's Steve Foley, the free safety you're looking at, another good one. Former college quarterback at Tulane. 2nd down and 8 for the Raiders. Plunkett play faking, and the blitz comes from Jackson. A fumble in the end zone. It could be a Denver touchdown. It is. So the Broncos hit gas and lick their sideline in jubilation. Barney Chavis came through after Jackson made the blitz, forced the fumble, And Chavis is on the ball. There's a player down. I don't know if he's fighting for the football or...
Marcus Allen is in there fighting for the ball. As Chavis said he had it, and he did. They went in on top of Plunkett, and Plunkett has trouble hanging onto that football. Does not have terribly big hands. And if you can hit him when he's not aware of you, he tends to let that ball go. Jackson gets there as Plunkett is just not even set up yet. Knocks the ball loose. Chavis right there to cover it in the end zone for the 7 points. You talk about a big break right there. Two of those kinds of plays in the Seattle game, and that big loss by the Raiders, and Denver has come right back with it here.
Tom Jackson unopposed as he came on the blitz from the right side, and the fumble recovery by Chavis in the end zone. And now Carlos puts up the extra point, and all of a sudden the Denver Broncos open up this game with 8:26 to play in the first quarter. Denver has taken a 10-0 lead over the decidedly favored Los Angeles Raiders. We'll be back with the Broncos kickoff after this. Jackson just helped put points on the board for the Broncos with this big play on a blitz. Merlin?
Coming hard from the outside. Nobody attempts to block him even, and he just sweeps that ball right out of Plunkett's hands. Barney Chavis in to score, and that's the Raiders for a 5-game streak had 28 turnovers. They only had one last week. They'd like to eliminate them altogether.
They lead the league in fumbles. That was their 18th of the season. Now Pruitt returns the kickoff as he gets to the 15, is swept under by the wave of white on special teams for Denver. So the Broncos jubilant over their early game fortunes here. Early, Elway hit Upchurch with a 40-yard pass, and shortly thereafter Carlos kicked a field goal to make it 3-0. And now the blitz, the subsequent fumble, and the recovery by Chavis. Plunkett comes out, finding himself and the Raiders down 10-0.
Well, we mentioned the strength of these two defenses being maintained in those defensive units. And, of course, when you get up by 10 points that quickly, you can afford to become even more aggressive. And this Denver defense is highly aggressive anyway.
Very quick, and they've really shut down the scoring of the opposition. They're third best in the NFL in keeping point totals of the opponent down. First and 10 Raiders with a run right to the middle and right to Marcus Allen, and quick linebackers you're referring to, Merlin, fill those gaps quickly, and there's a knockdown for a gain of only 2 yards.
Don Latimer picking that ball up. They would like to have had another one.
Final, the Packers upsetting the Vikings at Minneapolis 29-21. And Houston gets off the schneid and beats Detroit 27-17. And so after 10 weeks of losing this year, and how many last year, 5 or so, the Oilers are finally in the win column. Lost 17 in a row coming into today's game. Jim Plunkett with a 2nd down and 8. Kenny King gets the call, looks for room to go, has it for a moment, then gets to the 21 where again he's knocked down.
Oh, we got another battle going on. There it is right there.
We got people swinging in a couple of different
Marcus
spots.
Allen. That's Marcus Allen. I don't think I've seen him lose his cool like that in a ball game.
The guy who was squaring off with Steve Foley is an unlikely opponent.
Apparently, we're going to take a look down there after we get the call here from the official.
Number 32 of the offense. Unnecessary roughness. 57 of the defense. Coming ball set. Hold down.
It's always a push. They always offset.
Well, they do offset it. Jackson, number 57, you see here taking a shot to Marcus's head. Marcus retaliates as he comes back inside and throws Jackson off. Jackson, well, that's just a little mini battle going on there. They're not even worried about who's carrying the ball.
Yeah, this one is hot early, and it's going to heat up more as it's 3rd down and 5 now for the Raiders. Plunkett has some time, and he has a man, and a great reception by Marcus Allen for a first down at the 36-yard line of Los Angeles. 15 yards up into the air goes Marcus Allen and comes down with the ball. He's caught 42 balls this year.
Great receiver, no question about it. And on that particular play, I think realizing how foolish he looked on the last play, he comes up with a big play, takes some heat off. Plunkett doing a good job of finding an opening and a little bit of time in that pocket. That was the key to the play, along with the great catch by Marcus Allen.
Another aspect of Marcus Allen's play, Merlin, is the 3 completions in 5 attempts. He doesn't throw often, but 2 have been for touchdowns. A lot of times they'll use it when they're behind. First and 10 Raiders. Plunkett wants some more, swings it out to Marcus Allen. So quick, loses the defender and gets ahead for a gain of about 9 yards on the play. A great move by Marcus Allen. Steve Foley finally got him out of bounds.
We talked about the injuries on the offense of the Denver Broncos. They also have a number of injured linebackers, and we're going to see a lot of four-man line today, as we did on that play. Louis Wright just taking the bite there. What a great fake by Marcus. Put Louis on his backside. Jackson running him out of bounds. About 2 yards, a little less than 2 yards for the first down here, Don.
So the Raiders starting to move the ball now. 2nd and 2 coming up. Send 2 wide receivers out to the left, including the very elusive and quick Cliff Branch, who caught 2 touchdown passes in the first meeting at Denver. Plunkett's going long, and he's going to Cliff Branch, who loses the ball at the 36-yard line. Branch going deep, cuts back, but the ball was low. He couldn't hold it. Buffalo railing from a 14-0 deficit, defeats the New York Jets 24-17, so the Jets are gone if they weren't long ago, and Buffalo's very much in the running. San Diego a surprise leader.
That is a surprise. Early in the ball game, San Diego bouncing back and jumping out ahead of Dallas. Well, Dallas always does that. Spots you about 10 or 15.
Right. And then hits the go button. The Denver Broncos now deploy their cornerbacks pretty well off the speed on the flanks for the Raiders. 3rd down and 2's coming up. Frank Hawkins in the backfield with Marcus Allen. Hawkins blocks. Plunkett gets time. Cliff Branch is open and loses the ball on a good defensive play by cornerback Mike Harden, number 31. So Coach Flores sees his team now come up empty on 3rd down, and the Raiders have to punt the ball.
The Denver defense in the earlier game in Denver did a good job of shutting down the Raiders on the running game, and they've done that so far here, forcing Plunkett to go to the air repeatedly. Makes the job easier because then they can concentrate on the pass, as Harden did on that play, shaking it loose from Cliff Branch. Good defensive play.
Ray Guy, who hits it a long way. You see his average, one of the best in the league again, ready to punt for the Raiders.
I wonder if he's ever kicked barefooted.
I don't think that he has. He probably could, though. Now the high punt, a very well done one. Going to angle out of bounds, and no, hits into the end zone. It'll be a touchback. Very nearly got it down inside, and so a 56-yard punt by Ray Guy carries into the end zone. A touchback, and the Broncos, a surprise 10-0 leader, have the ball when we come back. Los Angeles Coliseum, Don Criqui with Merlin Olsen. A major upset in the Midwest today. The Seattle Seahawks were beaten by the St. Louis Cardinals, and so Seattle's record goes to 6-5. And the Raiders and the Broncos looking to see if it'll be a two-way lead in the AFC West at day's end. It would be if Denver wins. Raiders can have a 2-game advantage over their closest competition with just 5 to play if they beat the Broncos. It's 10-0 though right now, Denver.
Don, one of the brightest stars on the field today, a young defensive end, Howie Long. And Howie, just one of those exciting players in a sense. He's able to do so many explosive things from that defensive end position. Able to, on that particular play, push his offensive tackle inside, shut off the play. And just very exciting to watch. We'll be looking at him later on today.
You don't hear a lot about him, but I think he's headed to the Pro Bowl. Broncos have not run well so far, but Elway's thrown well, and he does again. Now they rule he's out of bounds where he took the ball in. Upchurch had it, but he was out of bounds. Ted Watts covering.
You're exactly right. The Broncos have tried to carry the ball 5 times, managed only 8 yards, just over a yard a carry. And that's about the same kind of an average. In fact, I think the Raiders' average is even lower than that. Neither team able to move the ball on the ground, but both teams finding some open receivers, in particular the Broncos.
It was interesting to talk to the Broncos and just see their general attitude coming in, Merlin. It's a very confident team. Despite the injury to DeBerg, John Elway looked like he was coming out for a scrimmage. Very confident. He said he's ready, and he's indicated that so far by his play. Giving the reception, so it's going to be 1st down and 10 from the 34-yard line. The pitch back goes. Running with the ball is Winder, not for very much as the Raiders continue to shut down the run. Ted Hendricks has been doing that for 14 years.
Now, we talked about exciting young players. There's about the most exciting pair of old legs on the field. Ted Hendricks, the Stork. Watch him coming from the left-hand side of your screen. You can't see him yet, but here he comes right there. Shuts off Winder with a fine tackle. And I'll tell you the thing that's exciting and interesting. He's operating with torn stomach muscles and won't come off the field. That man's an amazing specimen.
He really is. As we mentioned, he's not missed a game because of an injury since he was in junior high school in Miami.
I told him his body goes directly to the Smithsonian after the season's over.
It's a big body, 6'7", 235 pounds.
Awesome.
Howie Long left early, but we'll see if he was drawn off.
Didn't look like either of the offensive linemen moved. I think Howie's just excited. He's walking the 5 back. He knows he made a mistake. He's pumped up. He's an interesting young man. Just watch him here. He's excited. He's expecting the pass, wanted to be hard on the inside. Looks like they had a blitz coming, or at least a line stunt. Howie got in there all by himself.
Encroachment. Number 75 on the defense. Still second down.
So the Broncos beneficiaries there. Instead of long yardage, they now have 2nd down and 4.
This is the kind of yardage they like to have, too. They got all the options now. They can run or pass.
Raiders with an early penalty problem, as you saw. 3 already for 20 yards. 10-0 Broncos. They try the run. Winder does his best, but there's not much there. He's short of a 1st down. It's going to bring up 3rd down and about 2 as Bob Nelson, the big inside linebacker from Nebraska, filled. The Steelers rallying now in the 4th quarter, and they lead the Baltimore Colts 24-13. Pittsburgh ready to extend its record to 9-2 with the win. Dan Reeves' team looking for a share of 1st place.
Reeves sends his short yardage unit onto the field. 3rd and 1. Send the big folks out. 2 tight ends, maybe even 3 in this situation. Although the Broncos have had trouble at that position too. They've gone through 7 tight ends during this season.
They haven't found a Riley Odoms in his prime yet. 3rd down and just over a yard. The pitch back to Winder, turns upfield, and he didn't get there, doesn't look like.
Yeah, well, it all depends on where they mark it, and I believe they're going to mark it short. They tried to run in behind. They had the 3rd tight end stacked over there. Actually have Euchre, I think, playing at one of those tight end positions on that play. And Winder trying to make it from the right-hand side, but they're going to... Whoops, they got an injured player. I was going to say they were going to bring in the markers. They've asked the Denver...
Winder came in, as you mentioned, Merlin, with a thumb injury. Had a great game in the first meeting at Mile High against the Raiders. Ran for 119 yards.
And if that is indeed Winder on the ground, Dan Reeves' problems have just been complicated even further. That would mean he would be down to 1 healthy running back.
The Broncos have gotten very little production out of their number 1 from a year ago. It is Sammy Winder down. Gerald Wilhite has a continuing problem with a hamstring.
And Wilhite came off a hamstring injury just a couple of weeks ago. They were excited to have him back in the lineup, and he went ahead and got into the ball game and pulled his other hamstring.
Yeah, hurt his good one.
And hurt his good one. And they're growing concern that he may not be able to provide the kind of punch they'd hope he would provide.
Number 47, Gerald Wilhite. We'll be back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles after this.
Early in the game for Dan Reeves to be gambling, but here he is in his own territory, and he's elected to go for it on 4th down. Now, when all of your running backs are hurt, you may have to throw this ball. Let's see what he has in mind.
Egloff sets up as a wing to the right. 4th down and a yard. A little over a yard for the Broncos. Maybe they're looking to draw the Raiders offside.
Yeah, they're not going to run the play. They were just hoping to get somebody offside. They'll take the 5-yard penalty here now and kick the ball. Yeah, a little bit of trickery. What they decided to do was put a couple of people in motion and see if they couldn't get the Raider defense to jump off sides. The Raiders were a little edgy. They would not take the bait. Now they'll send the punting team onto the field.
That, Merlin, would have been a critical shortcoming had they not made the 1st down and went for it at this stage.
It was a question in my mind why Reeves would want to do that. He's got a nice lead, doesn't want to make a dumb mistake here, but obviously trying to use more of the smoke and mirrors we talked about early.
Pruitt goes back. Luke Prestridge, another long ball hitter with that punt, ready to kick the ball for the Broncos.
He used to be the biggest punter in the league, 6'4", 230 pounds, but Reggie Roby is the monster is taken over now.
Prestridge is still big, though, about 220. He's averaging over 43 yards a punt. Pruitt standing back at the Raider 20, the 19. It's 10-0 Denver with 3:19 to play in the 1st quarter. 70 degrees, clear and sunny in Los Angeles. Prestridge hits a line drive. This will come back at the Broncos. Pruitt loses 1 man and another. Hits his own man, but he's still on his feet. To the 35, to the 40, and out to the 42-yard line. Pruitt wanted more, and he almost had a lot more. Ran into his own guy. 44-yard punt, but Greg Pruitt brought it back 24 yards.
Tony Caldwell, 57, is the linebacker coming down to block, and he runs flush on right there. Just a head-on collision. Pruitt lucky to keep his balance and find some room. That's a dangerous punt with no hang time. Pruitt doing a good job of getting it back up, getting good field position at the 42-yard line for his offensive unit. Plunkett trots them onto the field.
Pruitt saying, hit a guy in a white shirt.
He said, hey, I'm one of yours.
First and 10 Raiders. They trail in the first quarter 10-0. Malcolm Barnwell comes in motion. Plunkett, the pitch back. Running with the ball is Marcus Allen. And he's across midfield, and he's ahead for 13 yards and a first down. That great change of pace move that all the great ones have. A shift to speed, and Marcus Allen speeds ahead for a first down.
Marcus, a gifted back, has not had quite as good a numbers this year, but his role has changed somewhat in this offense. Has had to handle a lot of short yardage work. Well, this is long yardage work, doing what he does best, feeling the holes in that defense, and then accelerating and getting the extra yardage. That's a classic maneuver and fine play by Marcus Allen.
Now run it 3 times for 17 yards. First and 10, and Plunkett takes a look and swings it out. Pruitt has the ball. And he's ahead to the 39-yard line of the Denver Broncos. A gain on that play of 6 yards. So the Raiders come out and start to mix it up and get the ball down for their longest penetration of the game. Major upset at Foxborough and another at Shea Stadium in New York. And there's another at Minneapolis as the Packers beat the favored Vikings. Kansas City beat Cincinnati. Bengals went into that game even though they were on the road with a losing record as the favorite. Chicago Bears haven't won many, but they did today, winning at Soldier Field against the Eagles. Second down and 4 Raiders. Kenny King has a problem. Foley comes up. Gradishar was the first through, and Foley came up and finished him off. So it's going to be 3rd down and 4. The scores coming in from the Midwest and the East. A very big one for the AFC West and these two teams. Seattle, an upset loser at St. Louis today. Cleveland beats Tampa Bay 20-0. And Houston with its first victory of the season after 17 consecutive losses dating back to last season. Pittsburgh still holding to the 11-point lead at Baltimore in the 4th quarter. San Diego continues to lead the favorite Cowboys at Jack Murphy Stadium down the coast in San Diego. 3rd down and 4 Raiders. They trail 10-0 first quarter. Good throw, and Branch eludes one man and gets ahead for a first down. Plunkett still has smoke on the ball, Merlin.
He still does, and still knows how to find those open receivers. They're really tickled to have Cliff Branch back. He wanted to play last week. They held him out of that ball game because they were afraid he might tear that hamstring again. You see him here. Look at the deceptiveness. He gets away from this first man, and then he's working on right here on number 45, Steve Wilson. Wilson trying to slip that ball out of his hands, but Branch did a great job of getting the pass and the extra yardage.
You don't want to get those Colorado Buffalo fans mad. Branch played not at Oklahoma, but for the Buffaloes in Colorado. Now in his 9th year, here's a pitch back and running with the ball. Running well is Marcus Allen. Starts to go east and west. Nothing there. It's going to be 2nd down and 10.
The mark of Joe Collier's defenses over the years, hustling and pursuit. There were about 8 of them out there, and they shut it off. Marcus looked back, wanted to reverse his field. Nothing doing. There was no place to go. Good play by the Denver defense.
Bronco linebacking core with Jim Ryan, Steve Busick, Randy Gradishar, and Tom Jackson. The biggest single play of this game was Tom Jackson's blitz earlier in the first quarter. He knocked the ball free from Jim Plunkett, knocked it into the end zone for Chavis. Recovered for a touchdown. And now as the first quarter ends, Jim Plunkett and the Raiders head to the other end of the field, trailing in the game 10-0. Broncos 10, Raiders nothing as we start the second quarter at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Don Criqui with Merlin Olsen. Raiders have the ball just inside the 30-yard line of Denver. It's 2nd down and about 9. Plunkett looking over the middle. They're doing a good job shutting off the tight end Christensen, but now Cliff Branch is starting to catch balls on shorter patterns. He's coming back.
Foley and Harden trying to get over to shut that down, but Branch looping up, finding the open ground, and you have to respect his speed. They'll play him deep here. He drives them off and then just hooks back inside. You notice how Plunkett does not throw the ball on the turn there, does not throw it on the break. He waits until the receiver comes out of that break, and that's one of the ways in which this Raider offense and the Raider passing game in particular differs from other passing games. A lot of passing quarterbacks like to throw on the break. The Raiders encourage their receivers to keep their heads down and drive out of that break, and they'll get the ball 2 or 3 steps later.
And they did right there. They have a first down, and here comes Marcus Allen cutting back, cutting in. Not done till he gets to about the 13-yard line. First down run, good for a gain of 4 or 5 yards. Barney Chavis, who scored the touchdown on the fumble recovery in the end zone, was on the tackle. You see the first quarter numbers. Broncos didn't run the ball well, but they did pass it well, particularly the 140-yarder from Elway to Upchurch that set up the subsequent field goal by Carlos, the first points of the game. It's now 10-0 Broncos.
That 18 yards is not impressive unless you remember that the first 4 times they carried the ball, they only got 4 yards. They are starting to run the ball more effectively.
Raiders with their deepest threat now inside the 15-yard line. Plunkett on 2nd and 6. And he throws a one-hopper.
Jones. Number 75, Don Rulon Jones, coming in from his right defensive end position, and of course that's what the Denver Bronco defense wants to do to Plunkett. They want to harass him. They want to force him to throw the ball before he's ready to throw it. Coming to the right-hand side of your picture, number 75. Plunkett sees him. He knows he's there. He gets the ball off, but I believe that Rulon hit his arm, delivering that ball then instead of toward the receiver, toward the turf.
The people watching in Utah remember Rulon Jones and a couple of good Olsen brothers from Utah State.
He went to a good school, didn't he?
And brother Phil in the booth also. He looks big enough to be a player, which he would have, and a very good one. Merlin, Phil, and Rulon Jones all from Utah State as Plunkett throws and swings it out of the backfield on 3rd down and 6. Cliff Branch catches another one. He's short of the first down, but he's down to the 10-yard line. And the Raider field goal unit comes out. Chris Barr's the kicker.
Broncos talk about the best athlete on their team as being Dennis Smith, number 49, and you saw some of his speed as he stayed stride for stride with Branch on that particular play. That's the kind of play that Branch can kill you with, coming underneath, taking the ball, and using his speed to get the first down. No go there. Barr will try a 3-pointer.
Branch now at 3 receptions. The last sets up this field goal attempt from the 19-yard line. It'll be a 29-yard attempt. Hits it 20 long, and he's right there. So the Raiders are on the board with 12:39 to play in the first half. Denver 10, the LA Raiders 3. The Raiders kick off when we come back to the Coliseum. In the history of the tournament players, there's never been a greater foursome than this. Nicholas, Watson, Palmer, and Player. And they're all coming up on NBC for a minimum of $10,000 a hole, a total purse of $360,000. The Skins game on Thanksgiving weekend from Scottsdale, Arizona, right here on NBC Sports. Now the Raiders are on the board on a 29-yard field goal by Chris Barr, who kicks it off and well. Drives the ball into the end zone. Coming out with it is Zach Thomas. He gets to the 19, and that's all as the Raiders special teams play well. And Derek Jensen, the captain of the special teams, comes down and makes the stop.
Tremendous coverage. That was a good kick deep into the end zone by Barr. Barr has had a short slump middle of the season, and it seems to be out of it completely now, and that's very important. You want your kicker healthy of mind and body as you go into the last half of this season.
Chris Barr, very under control, a former Penn State soccer player. His father was the soccer coach there. Brother Matt kicks for the Cleveland Browns after kicking for the championship team for the Steelers. 1st and 10 for Elway and the Broncos from their 19. Elway on a sprint out, has to hurry it. What an arm. Downfield, it's a little short, though, as Elway kind of falling back, still gunned it on a line about 25 yards. Upchurch, the intended receiver. Broncos going with 2 tight ends, a single back, and again forced to do that basically because of their injuries in that backfield. Elway just faking the run
And nobody really paid much attention. They did not expect to run, and because of that, no room on the pass. They came with good pressure. He had to throw the ball before he was ready to. That was a long comeback. Upchurch faking the deep pass, trying to break back to the ball, but Elway had to unload it before he was ready.
Tough down now for Elway and the Broncos. 2nd down and 10 from their 19. Raider defense digging in. They'll be coming. Elway ready to throw it. No, he's going to go to the run. Here comes Winder looking for room, and there's nothing there. He's shut down for a loss on the play and almost lost the ball. Bob Nelson, 51, with a big play for Los Angeles. The second quarter clock ticking down to 12:10.
Ron Egloff, number 85, who's been kind of pressed into full-time responsibility. Had been a backup tight end for a long while, coming in to put a little shot on McElroy there. Matt Millen, number 55, in the middle of your screen, one of those linemen who plays linebacker. A little more of the fisticuffs, the frustration, the love or lack of it between these two teams.
I think maybe the lack of it and the lack of yardage for Winder. Has run 7 times, has gained only 6 yards after that loss. 3rd and 15. Elway's got to let her go, and he does. Too much on it. Going to Upchurch, and John Elway's jumping up and down. Knew he had an open man farther downfield, but didn't get the ball to him. So the Raiders, trailing by 7 points, are going to get the ball now in relatively good field position as Pruitt drops back to take the punt.
On the last play, the Broncos had gone to 1 running back and 4 wide receivers. Problem was that Elway did not have enough time. Alzado bearing down from the right-hand side. Again, he had to throw the ball before he was ready to, and that's the kind of pressure that this Raider defense wants to put on Elway all day long.
Prestridge standing at his goal line, awaiting the snap from center. Wind is not a factor. It's absolutely perfect playing conditions after 2 days of heavy rain in Southern California. Prestridge hits a high knuckler, and fair catch is signaled for and made by Pruitt at the 46-yard line of the Broncos. So the Raiders, down 10-0 early, have a chance to get right back and tie it up if they can succeed on this drive when we come back. Today, clear and sunny, 70 degrees and cloudless except for a few cumulus over the mountains after a heavy rainstorm yesterday. Right now, the Broncos on defense leading in the game 10-3. The Raiders looking to strike from the Denver side of the field. 1st and 10. Plunkett's looking long. He's got a problem, and down goes Plunkett at the 43-yard line.
The Raiders sacked many times during this season, but one of the reasons for that is that they want the deep shot. They'll go after you an average of about 8 times a ball game trying to get that ball deep, and they know that they're going to get sacked occasionally because of it. They know that the percentages are not that great because of it, but they'll take those deep shots, they'll turn them into touchdowns, and they really force you as a defense to play differently when you work against them.
That's long been a Raider axiom, to stretch the defense the length and width of the field. Spread it out. That time the pass rush spread out Plunkett for a loss of about 11 yards. Now he throws and has an open man, and Frank Hawkins, who gets back the lost yardage and some more. It'll be 3rd down and about 7.
And that's one of the things that those deep passes will do for you. When you stretch the defense deep, you make some room underneath, and you can get the ball to a Frank Hawkins who can then pick up some good yardage. Even though he does not get the 1st down, gets himself some good room here. Look how far the defensive backs are back. You can't even see a defensive back in that picture. They've gone deep with the receivers, respecting the deep passing game of the Los Angeles Raiders.
Frank Hawkins, or heralded now after his great performance in the upset of the Cowboys at Irving, Texas, when he rushed for over 120 yards against Dallas that night. The Raiders handing the Cowboys their only loss of the season. 3rd down and 7. Plunkett loses his footing and then gets some help going down. Number 77, Carl Mecklenburg, is through. They like him, and they like Rulon Jones, who was right there with him.
That's the 3rd sack of the day. We're at minus 27. And we talked about the rain earlier. They covered this field yesterday, but there was still some water on it. Plunkett just planted that back foot. The foot went out from underneath him. I think if that foot had not slipped, he would have managed to avoid that sack, managed to get the pass off.
Rulon Jones went out with an injury for 4 weeks. It really hurt a good Denver defense. Now that he's back, the defense has picked up considerably. 3rd in the league in average scoring against. Only 2 teams have committed fewer points than the Broncos. Now Now Ray Guy hits a long spiral, really unloads. It's going to carry into the end zone, another 50-yard plus punt. And it comes out as a touchback to the 20.
Even though he kicked it 50 yards, he's got his head down. He would rather have put it out of bounds and gotten the extra yardage.
Back after this.
Todd Christensen, we haven't heard from him yet today. One of the reasons, they're jamming him on the line. Number 20, Louis Wright, doing a great job of keeping Christensen out of the pass pattern, destroying his timing. That's one of the reasons he's not been able to catch a pass.
And he's been averaging 5 catches a game, has Todd Christensen. Right behind Ozzie Newsome, the Cleveland tight end, in receptions in the conference. 51 coming in, but no less an expert than Louis Wright, shutting him down today. Now Elway for Denver, 1st and 10. Gets it away, and Winder was looking at the ball, and Elway took a hard shot just as he released it.
Today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet, official U.S. cars and trucks of the 14th Olympic Winter Games. Chevrolet and you, taking charge. By United Airlines, people who fly for a living fly United's friendly skies. And by RCA, the maker of innovative video products that will open your eyes.
John Elway a moment ago dropping the throw. He got it away just in time.
Oh, hello. The Raider defense wants to pressure him and remind him how close they are.
2nd and 10 for Elway, looking to throw on the run. He gets it away, and a man is out there, but the ball is wide as Watson was making a play on it.
Number 51, Bob Nelson, using his speed from the inside to pressure Elway. Again, we mentioned Elway's speed and running ability. On this particular play, has plenty of time, but his receivers could not get open. He merely fired that ball away and got rid of it. If you remember the shots we showed you in our opening, that's almost how Mark Wilson got hurt. Got on the sideline, lost his footing, trying to push somebody out, went to his shoulder and injured himself. They sure don't want to lose Elway here in this ball game. 2 quarterbacks between them, I think, have about 6 months of professional experience. That's not starting experience.
The other quarterback, Merlin Gary Kubiak, has been on the clipboard all year. He hasn't taken a snap yet in the game. Elway looking to run, and the Raiders get him. So the Broncos will have to punt.
Greg Townsend, number 93, busting in from that left defensive end position. This young man is explosive, runs extremely well, really a powerful pass rusher. You'll see him coming in on this play on Elway. Elway sees he's going to have trouble, tries to get up the middle, but Townsend merely adjusts. That's Ken Lanier, number 76, trying to get over to block on him, unable to do so.
43rd sack of a Bronco quarterback. They lead the league in that negative statistic. Now Prestridge ready to hit the ball from inside his 5-yard line. And again, the Raiders will come out with good field position. Knuckleball hit downfield. Pruitt will run this back from the 50.
Clip.
Man. Yeah. Pruitt is a tough customer, though. He was rocket hit and then still spun away and got ahead. But there is the marker down. And a call is going to go against Los Angeles.
It looked like Bob Nelson, perhaps the man who was going to be charged with that. He's coming right down on top of Pruitt. You'll see that Pruitt has no chance here. I believe it is. Oh, no, it's 54. Darrell Byrd. I saw the 4 look like a 1. But Byrd, the man who was charged with that, he was trying to get off. But he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The officials will run it off against him.
Here's Red Cashin.
Illegal use of the hands. Number 54, the receivers doing the run back. It's 1st down at 10.
The Raiders quarterbacks had been sacked. We talked about sacks. There's the play right there. You see Byrd trying to get off of the man right there. Just couldn't get away from it.
Pruitt spins away for 7 yards, but it comes back, and the Raiders start out inside their 45-yard line. Back at the Los Angeles Coliseum, Don Criqui with Merlin Olsen. The Denver Broncos a surprise 10-3 leader. A beautiful day in Southern California, the kind, Merlin, might make you want to get back out there.
Well, I played a lot of games on the floor of this Coliseum. I don't think I ever played on a prettier day than today. And it is indeed the kind of day you want to tape up and go down. I don't know if I want to play, though. Just watch.
Well, you probably played more on this field than anybody ever, 15 years. Right now, the Broncos, leading by 7, go to the defense and stuff the run as the Raiders try to push it at the left side of the Denver defense from their 42-yard line.
I mentioned a few minutes ago, we were talking about sacks. The Raiders came into this ball game with 41 sacks. They've had 3 today. That gives them 44 sacks that they've given up on the year. They may be the new leaders in the NFL, although we'd have to keep track of all those who were close to that at the beginning of this day.
They were close. Pittsburgh was the leader, and right now we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Second down and 9. Plunkett takes a deep look and drops it off. Knockdown made at about the 49-yard line as Gradishar came up on Marcus Allen. That'll bring up third down for Plunkett and the Raider offense.
Plunkett now hitting on 7 for 10 of his passes so far in this ball game. A good high percentage, but he has been sacked, as we said, 3 times, which has caused some problems for this Raider offense.
Third down coming up. Denver jumped off to a 10-0 lead on a field goal by Carlos and a sack and fumble into the end zone that was recovered by Chavis for the Denver touchdown. Broncos hit on a bar field goal. Here's a throw to Christensen. This time the tight end is open. He has a big gain inside the 35-yard line, an 18-yard pickup, and the Raiders start to challenge.
52 passes on the year for Todd Christensen, and when a player has been that consistent, you're not going to take the football and the action away from him all day. Plunkett doing a good job of getting back and setting up, and that's just a quick flow pass across the middle. Christensen finding plenty of room and getting good yardage before they shut him down.
Raiders have a history of taking players that didn't do well with other teams. Christensen was a number 2 draft choice at Dallas, was waived, went to the Giants, was waived there. He's been outstanding. They took him from running back to tight end, and now Marcus Allen cuts back and gets inside the 25-yard line. Running hard, Marcus Allen, who set 9 NCAA records at Southern California on this field, runs it down to the 20 for a Raider first down.
The great running backs are a mixture of power, speed, acceleration. Allen showing you his power as he pulls out of an attempted arm tackle from number 57, Tom Jackson. You'll see it on the top of your screen here. Jackson getting good penetration, got a hold of him. Marcus just flips him off with that arm. Now watch the little moves, the little dip and go right there. It's Foley, number 43, who finally gets a hold of him, and several of the other Broncos who close it off, but not until he picked up a big first down.
First down it is for the Raiders at the Denver 20. Denver holding to a 10-3 lead, second quarter. Swing pass to Frank Hawkins. The Denver defense, schooled by Joe Collier, one of the best, quickly converges to the ball, a hallmark of Denver's defense. Gradishar says if you don't get in there fast, you're not going to make the tackle.
Well, this defense has played well all year, although they did lapse a little bit this last week against Seattle and did not play well against the Bears earlier in the season. But look at how many of the players are there. Randy Gradishar there first, number 53, as he is so often. Bingo. Well, how many? Count them. About a half a dozen of them right on this particular play. Jackson, one of the last to come up. Before, there's a whole stack of them in there.
Marvin knocked somebody right off the screen coming up the block. It's now second down and 5. Pitch back, second back through, and the Raiders go to power football and advance the ball close to a first down.
Well, one of the things that the Broncos can't afford to let the Raiders do, and that's to run the ball effectively, because their passing game, if they can run the ball effectively, becomes that much more effective.
Another interesting aspect, Merlin, about the Raider organization, Al Davis has always been a proponent of drafting players from winning programs. He figures they bring an attitude in with them that really carries over to professional football.
I think that's true, but I think every scouting organization pays heed to that. I think perhaps he has, over the years, favored a few of the power schools, what we call power football schools, and it's paid dividends for him.
2 tight ends in. Don Hasselbeck, now a Raider, is 1 tight end. Todd Christensen's the other. 3rd and inches for Los Angeles. Hawkins, he's ahead for a first down. It'll be first and goal for the Raiders from the 7-yard line of Denver with 4:20 to play in the first half.
Well, that's where that size advantage will begin to pay off for you. We mentioned injuries. They've had some injuries along that defensive wall for the Denver Broncos as well. And when you're outmanned and out physical sized as they are by at least 10, 12 pounds a man down that wall, you run into some real problems. Reeves contemplating what he's going to do next as he watches the Raiders get even closer to that end zone line.
Denver, over the years, has been a great team down close. They've given up a lot of yards, but they're awfully difficult to get it in. Another big Denver defensive play by Jackson, who made one that led to a touchdown earlier. Jackson shooting the gap, makes the knockdown on Marcus Allen behind the line of scrimmage. So it'll be 2nd and goal from about the 10.
Jackson again with a big play, shooting in from the right side. Of course, the first big play of that kind we saw was the sack that allowed for the touchdown. He got in and shut it down deep, and you need a big play. And this Denver defense, they give up a lot of yardage. They give up a lot of first downs, but their philosophy is, we'll give that up, but we're not going to give up the points. Allen now 9 times rushing for 37 yards, but I think they're going to have to go to the air if they're going to get it in here.
Let's see, it's 2nd down and goal from the 10-yard line. Raiders down by 7, 2nd quarter. Plunkett looks into the end zone, doesn't like to run, might have to, gets it away. His receiver fell down.
Dokey Williams, number 85, a young man from UCLA who's been very, very effective for these Raiders in the past few weeks, slipped down, and that's a wet part of this field. That's where they rolled the tarps off, and it's extremely slick down there. But as you said, Plunkett does not like to run. He did, however, come back from that sit on the bench, apparently more fit physically. Moved around extremely well last week and has moved well in this game today. He said it's in part because he wasn't beat up. You take a real pounding when you're getting hammered on all the time out there.
Well, he spent some hospital time, Jim Plunkett, with about 7 or 8 operations.
You see the kind of dominance that the Raiders have had on those 3rd down situations, doing a good job of sustaining their drives on the day.
3rd and goal, Los Angeles from the 10. Plunkett gets some time. It's going to lose it now. He gets it away and gets it incomplete at the 3-yard line.
Fumble. They're calling it a fumble. No.
Now they overrule.
One of the officials on the ball had not made any marking and had not called it incomplete. He believed it was a fumble. The 2 other officials there, both of them calling it an incomplete pass, and the ball will be a 4th down, 50 or 10-yard line, and we'll see Chris Barr again.
So the Denver Bronco does indeed stop a touchdown threat of the Raiders, and now Chris Barr back on the field. There's the incomplete pass.
Had that been a fumble, it was recovered by the Raiders in the end zone, and would indeed have been a touchdown.
That's interesting. But an overruling made, and it was an incomplete pass, and now field goal attempt from 28 yards out. His first was 29. This is like, oh, no. Hits the upright. Been worked all week long and try to do that in practice. No good. So the Raiders with a deep drive. They were inside with 1st and goal from the 7. They come away with no points.
The Broncos talk about this man as being the best athlete on the field defensively, and we'll show you why they have so much respect for him. Right in the middle of your screen, number 49, going up to try and get a piece. Look how high he is in the air. Did not touch that football, however. The ball hooked off to the side by Barr, who's kicking out of the hold of David Humm, quarterback they just brought in to replace the injured quarterback Mark Wilson. But that's an exciting play by that young man.
He's a great jumper too, Merlin. As a high school high jumper, he was a 7-foot high jumper, was also a 3-time Letterman on the Southern California track team. Glenn Berman and the crew standing by in New York to update the 11th Sunday at play of the 83 season. Right now we have 2:43 to play before the half. Winder tries to go but doesn't get far, as the Raiders have been stuffing the Denver run all day long. Winder ran well against Los Angeles in the first meeting, gaining 119 yards.
Of course, that's a costly play when you drive the ball as effectively as the Raiders were able to drive it. But when you get down and you compress that field, you get down inside of that 20-yard line, inside the 10-yard line, there's so much less field to defend. A lot of teams using the zones down there extremely effectively.
And we'll be back with 2:28 to play. Coliseum in Los Angeles. The LA Raiders trailing Denver 10-3. Denver has the ball, 2nd down and 9 coming up. Broncos jumped off with 10-0 first quarter lead. Elway stands in, throws hard. Defense is right there, and the call is clean. Mike Davis making the move and the hit just as the ball came in on Nathan Poole.
Don, you mentioned the ineffective running game of the Broncos so far. Sammy Winder has run the ball 8 times and just managed to get 8 yards. Allen, on the other hand, Marcus Allen running for the Raiders, has run 9 times for 37 yards. So a big difference there. Looking at the scoreboard, the 10-3 should be 3-3 without that big turnover and a touchdown by the defense. But of course, as a defensive player, the defenses control the game, and they're doing it here today.
Well, they really have. The defenses have controlled this game, and the year that Denver went to the Super Bowl, they did it with defense. Now Elway stands in, throws a fastball, too much on it.
And he shakes his head. I think he knows that he put too much zip on that one. I'm not so sure that Upchurch would have had the first down, even had he been able to catch that football. But when you have that much power, and that, well, I'm sure, even though John Elway showed us a cool exterior today, he's got a lot of emotion pumping out there. This young man had to be totally frustrated by the bad start he got on the season. And Dan Reeves has been quick to admit, I gave him too much to do. I pushed him too hard. It's certainly a much better situation that he comes back to now.
Big surprise down the coast, Merlin, with the Chargers leading the Cowboys 14-0 in the first half.
Let's see, Terry Warner there.
They get 14-0. Here's a punt now by Prestridge of the Broncos. Again, Pruitt goes back. Tough field this time, but he catches it over the shoulder. Broncos are there. He loses some and is knocked down at the 40-yard line. 44-yard punt and a 4-yard return with 2:13 to play. Back on John Elway. There's no downside on the guy, really. He's got the great attitude, as does a man who preceded him at Stanford, Jim Plunkett. Elway really has a terrific ability to handle the fame and celebrity that's come with his being the #1 choice and the $5 million man.
He certainly does. And I would hope that he would react as well to adversity as Plunkett has. No question. He's had some of the same knocks put on him, that they were not as good as they were reported to be, and certainly didn't deserve the kind of honors and the kind of publicity. Well, Plunkett has proved that it's not true in his case. And I think before he's through, John Elway will do the same.
Right now, Plunkett on 1st and 10, dips it off, and Marcus Allen has the ball, has some open field. He's ahead for a gain of 13 yards across midfield. The Raiders have a first down as the 2-minute warning is given.
The mark of experience. Plunkett under pressure knows that he's got to flip that football out of there. Just a little short pass, hangs it up. Big play for a first down.
Well, the Raiders will have 2 minutes to work when we come back. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by Steve Watson in the National Football League. Haven't seen him catch any today, Merlin.
No, he hasn't. He's got a problem with his hand, a dislocated finger. You saw it on the left hand there. That and the fact that the Raiders have paid a great deal of attention to it defensively.
Got that dislocated finger on an Elway pass in practice. Here's a long ball into the end zone. It's a long out, though. And you really saw some speed on display there. Two of the great ones, Branch on the fly pattern, and Louis Wright. None better, right with him, stride for stride.
And if you have questions about the strength of Jim Plunkett's arm, that ball was in the air 60 yards and thrown very accurately over that distance. The defenders right there at the last. Receiver stretching for it, but unable to get there. That's good defense by the two backs who were on top of him there. But what a powerful shot from Plunkett. Still able to throw that football.
He hasn't lost arm strength. And the amazing Mr. Wright. Right with Branch. So now it's 2nd down and 10. Raiders trail 10-3. Here's a strike to the tight end Todd Christensen, who was shut down through the first quarter and a half, but has started to come on now. Jackson knocks him down. Raiders get it inside the 40-yard line of Denver with 1:43 to play.
Again, an example of the Raider philosophy. Show the defense you're not afraid to go after them deep. Make them respect your long ball, and then come back and hurt them underneath. That pass puts them close to the first down. They're going to have to go for it on a 3rd and about 2 yards to go. A little less than 2.
Dan Reeves, one of the youngest coaches in the National Football League, talked about his system, the Dallas system, being kind of complicated for a rookie quarterback to grasp. And maybe he did, as you point out, Merlin, give John Elway too much to work with early. Elway told us before the game he really had tunnel vision. He couldn't even get a playoff. It's all changed now. He's a very confident man, and his quarterback very well today. Next Sunday, join host Len Berman as NFL 83 starts today with feature reports and a preview of the day's games. Then it's an NFL doubleheader beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time. The LA Raiders go to Buffalo. The Bills move to a first-place tie in the AFC East today, upsetting the Jets. Other games include Baltimore at Miami, Cleveland at New England, San Diego at St. Louis, Houston at Cincinnati, and the The second half of the doubleheader features an interconference game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys, or Seattle at Denver. Check your local listings for the game and the times in your area. Third down and a little over a yard for the Raiders with 1:43 to play in the first half. Over the top for the first down, Marcus Allen. An excellent athlete, was drafted as a defensive back really out of high school in San Diego. He was also a high school quarterback.
Certainly a good athlete, and right here shows you the kind of jumping ability he has. Way over the top. They're going quickly on the field with no huddle.
I tell you, he was recruited by USC, not drafted. Here's Marcus Allen with the ball again. Loses it, and that's a free ball, and the Broncos have it.
Now they're calling it down. Official right on the spot says he's on the ground. They came right back without a huddle, realizing the clock is ticking down now. Minute 5, minute 4, and they're back again with no huddle.
Plunkett swings it out.
Oh, look out.
Hawkins has the ball, and he's knocked down at the 30 with 52 seconds to play.
Louis Wright coming right up to say hello. I asked Louis, I said, Louis, these wide receivers getting any faster? He said, well, he said, used to only be 1 or 2 of them that I'd have to really worry about running with. He said, now I got one every week. I don't know, maybe Louis is losing a little bit of that edge, but he's certainly not lost any of his awareness, nor has he lost his excitement about the game. A great defensive back for many, many years, comes up and puts a clinching tackle on Hawkins, number 27. That's the kind of play that's earned him so many postseason honors and trips to the Pro Bowl.
He really has been a great player for 9 years now. They talk about a few fiery players igniting a whole defense, and Wright's one of them. Big plays for years and years for the Broncos. Reeves is hot. Maybe he should be. Thought he had a fumble there. His team did.
Official right on the ball, and the ruling is if the ball bounces loose as a result of contact with the ground, it's not a fumble. The ball must be broken loose before that ball carrier hits the ground. Of course, the official was there to make that call. Plunkett doing a good job. 117 yards, 12 for 20.
He's not been intercepted, but he did give up a fumble, and he was sacked from the blind side, and that fumble led to the game's only touchdown. It's 10-3 right now, Denver. Time running out in the first half. Here's a throw, and the ball is caught by Christensen. He's down to the 13-yard line. Great throw by Plunkett, good for a 17-yard gain on crossing pattern, and he hit the open man.
Plunkett signaling that they're going to come right back now and go for without a huddle again. Clock ticking down, 31 seconds, 30.
Plunkett goes to the end zone. There's a man there, and it's bobbled and lost. Very nearly a Malcolm Barnwell reception for a touchdown. A sprinter from Virginia Union.
That's the kind of speed that allows you to get deep. Barnwell, a sprinter, working one-on-one on Louis Wright. Wright staying step for step with him, but there was a chance to catch that ball. It was perfectly thrown, and you're going to get a percentage of those, but that's a tough play when you come right back without a huddle and hit them deep down that sideline.
Incomplete pass, stopping the clock with 24 seconds to play in the first half. Chris Barr is 1 for 2. His last was no good. It's a 10-3 game. The Raiders trailing.
The Raiders want 7 here. They would much rather have a touchdown. They'd like to go in with a tie at halftime.
Plunkett. Here's a blitz. Plunkett has a problem, and Mecklenburg, the rookie, comes up and gets him. The 4th sack of Jim Plunkett in the first half. A rookie from Minnesota drafted in the 12th round. Carl Mecklenburg made the stop behind the line of scrimmage. Another big defensive play.
Broncos said today they had to put that kind of pressure on Plunkett and to force him to make the bad plays. They certainly have done it here in the first half.
Now a 42-yard field goal. That'll be the final play of the first half. Barr hits it. It's plenty long, and it's through. So the Raiders get points, but they don't get that tying touchdown, and they'll go to the locker. Well, there's 2 seconds left in the second quarter. The Los Angeles Raiders now trailing Denver 10-6 after another Chris Barr field goal. We'll have time for the Raiders to kick off to Denver. Raiders have been down close a number of times, Merlin, but still have not put up that 6 number.
No, they haven't. And we talked earlier about the Denver defensive philosophy. They'll give you some yardage, but they really do come up with the big plays. And that sack by Mecklenburg, another example. They're really high on that young man. Number 77, you'll see him coming from the outside here. It's a stunt with Rulon Jones. Jones holding 2 of the offensive linemen, and Mecklenburg speedy to the inside, whipping Plunkett to the ground.
They project Mecklenburg, Merlin, as being an A.J. Dewey type. He only weighs about 235 and has had trouble gaining weight, but he's so fast that they're going to put him as a down lineman and maybe as a roving linebacker.
Well, certainly with the new rules in the game, the advantage goes to the speedy defensive lineman. He certainly has that.
Ground ball hit downfield, and the Broncos fall on it. Met will do it. Len Berman and the NFL 83 crew is standing by in New York as here at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. That's the end of the first half with a score. The Broncos 10, the Raiders 6. NFL 83 coming up after these messages.